If there's one thing that is guaranteed to piss off Kirby Smart, it is bad tackling. We saw Georgia tackle really bad against Alabama a couple weekends ago, and they played a little better defensively against Auburn, but that is still one area where Georgia's defense, which is still one of the best in the country, can improve upon. Kirby Smart talked about tackling not only from his team, but across college football, and he is not having it. He is not a fan of the poor tackling going around all over the place. Here's some quotes that really caught my attention. He said, people don't tackle. People don't hit. People don't practice like they used to, including us. So everyone makes a big deal about the tackling. And he talks about, when he was watching the Falcons game the other day, he didn't say if it was against the Saints or the Bucs, but he's sitting there, and this was in his press conference, one that he was happy with, but the bad tackling really got to him. He said even in the NFL level, guys aren't tackling. They're not tackling well. They're not doing what they're supposed to. He said, I'm not saying the Falcons, specifically, it's just bad tackling, and we have bad tackling everywhere. So it's indicative. Oh my God, I almost really screwed up. It's indicative of the culture of football that people don't tackle. Now, I still think Georgia has one of the better tackling teams in the country, even though we did not see them play well against Alabama. They did start to step it up, and Auburn rushed for 137 yards. I mean, that's not the end of the world. I thought the Georgia linebackers took better angles getting to the ball carrier, but even Kirby Smart said afterwards, he goes, no offense to Peyton Thorne, he's not Jalen Milroe. And if Alabama and Georgia play again, Georgia's got to do a better job of wrapping him up, getting him to the ground like they did Peyton Thorne. Someone asked him about the long touchdown run, Jarquez Hunter, and Kirby talked about that. But I think you have to remember, he called Jarquez Hunter basically a Nick Chubb type of clone. It's still early. It's early Sunday. I'm still getting my words out here. But that is one thing that if you want to play for Kirby Smart, especially at linebacker, you better wrap up. And even in the secondary, you better take on a block from that wide receiver, get off of it, go attack, and get that ball carrier down to the ground. And that's something that, Georgia's still doing it better than most. But if you watch college football, just watching the other games, these guys are not tackling well. Everyone wants to lay the big hit. Everyone wants to lay the shoulder and then do a little dance after they gave up a 15-yard run. But hey, at least you hit the guy, right? Everyone wants that. No one knows how to wrap up and make a fundamentally sound tackle. It's getting worse at the high school level. It's bad at the collegiate level. And I don't know what game, what series I guess he was watching, but the Falcons are playing well and they're tackling. And I just think at the NFL level, these linebackers are so fast, they're so physical, they're so athletic, and that's why we're seeing a lot of defenses really take over in the NFL. But at the collegiate level right now, it's clear that they, teach this, they coach this every day. Make sure you wrap up and tackle, but that's still something that I think Georgia can improve on, and basically everywhere else. But he had a lot to say about Drew Bobo, and you can read all of this over on Dawg Post. This is every single word of Kirby Smart's post-game press conference, which again, I thought he was happy with. Talked about the Dumb Lovett touchdown. He said, I'm not, because that was kind of awkward. It was almost looked like it was to Dylan Bell. He didn't catch it. Dumb Lovett did. He said, I'm not sure what went down. I actually had a bad view. I couldn't tell. I thought it was going to Dylan, but Carson said he was going to Dom, and he was waiting on him to run the return route. He was coming back on the return. It just took him a while to come out of it. So, it's little stuff like that, I think, on offense that they could clean up. Just a little crisper, right? But, yeah, it feels like way too many Georgia fans were mad that Georgia, I guess, didn't cover the game or didn't blow Auburn out. I tried to tell y'all that Georgia wasn't covering this. That's a lot of points, and Auburn's probably a better team than you think. They just have bad quarterback play. But they didn't turn it over, and they were able to move the ball a little bit on Georgia's defense. Now, I'm not sure if that was because of a lack of physical toughness or guys just not being where they need to be from a mental aspect point and, thinking before reacting when it should be the other way around. He talked about Drew Bobo, said, Drew's worked really hard. He's a tremendous athlete. People don't give him enough credit for his second on blocks, getting downfield, the effort. He's probably one of the highest effort players because every play he's running down the field to go hit somebody. So that's promising. If Jared Wilson, I'm not exactly sure, he's a center, by the way. I'm not sure exactly how long he's going to be out, but they do have a reliable center, Andrew Bobo. Now, he talked about the fast start that the Georgia offense had against Auburn. He said, I mean, I don't know if we started fast. I guess we did. I guess you count that as starting fast, scoring a touchdown on the opening drive, but I don't count it when we have a 3rd and 13 and give it up on the screen. That's not starting fast to me. We got to get off the field, get the field position battle, flip the field, take it over, especially at home. I don't think we did that, but it certainly was not last week. I mean, he had some really good quotes, and I tell you what, if you're not thrilled with how Georgia played yesterday, I mean, I get it. They could play better, but that was about as happy as I've seen Kirby Smart after a win. I mean, that guy does not like Auburn, and he is totally fine with an 18-point victory. And again, it's so tough to play in the SEC. Kirby Smart talks about that all the time, and I think a lot of fans, and sometimes me, I'm like, okay, like, do you really believe that, or are you just saying it to be respectful to the opponents? But when you see Alabama lose on the road at Vanderbilt, you see Tennessee, make the trip to Arkansas, and they lose that game. Georgia only beat Kentucky by a point, right? We saw Georgia struggle with Auburn last year on the road. I think Georgia's home field advantage could probably be a little better from an excitement, loud standpoint, at least, taking in yesterday's game. That was the first home game of the season against a rival. And I know the game was slow, and I know that the pace of the game didn't allow Georgia fans to really get excited and have a long, continuous, loud part of the game going. But I remember sitting there at half thinking, I was telling Ryan next to me in the press box, I said, does the crowd stink? Because they're not making an impact, right? And he was like, yeah, it kind of does. Kirby Smart said that afterwards. But it was funny because Kirby was watching the end of the Alabama game. He was like 20 minutes late to the press conference. But here's what he said about Vanderbilt beating Alabama. He said, I think Vandy's got a great program, and they do a great job. I mean, a lot of other people that don't respect Vandy, I respect Clark Lee. I respect his team, his quarterback, what they've done. They beat Virginia Tech. They play close games. He said, nothing shocks us in our league. You better come to play every week. And when it doesn't look great, it did not look great in Lexington. It did not look great, for at least for a half in Tuscaloosa. And there were times against Auburn, coming out in the second half, you go 3 and out, you're not hitting on those deep balls, you punt it to Auburn, they come score a touchdown, it's 14-10, and you're thinking, they're better than this. And then they were. They answered back with a touchdown and kind of cruised the rest of the way. So I'm not telling Georgia fans how to react. I mean, I love the Georgia fans. It's why I have a job. They are some of the most passionate fan bases, in all of sports, not just college football. But if you're not happy with an 18-point win over Auburn, I don't know what to tell you. It's kind of sad a little bit. I understand people wanting to see more explosiveness from the offense, and the defense is not as good as they have been. I don't think this team is as good as they were last year, and they're certainly not as good as they were in 2022 and 2021. I think it's time to accept that and still understand that this team could still win a national title, even though they will struggle on offense and they're not running the ball real well and it doesn't look fun. It's not an exciting team to watch. They can be exciting at times, but they haven't been a fun, exciting football team to watch for 4 quarters all season long yet. So, the excitement maybe not be there as far as the team exciting the fans, but at the same time, it's still Auburn, and you still have to be louder than that. And you still have to respect every win. Even if Georgia doesn't play well, they win an SEC game. It's at the end of the day, it's still sports. It's still college football. A win is a win. You got to move on and try to play better. It looks like Georgia is improving. They beat Kentucky by 1 point. You could say they improved the next week, even though they lost Alabama. They did show explosiveness and cohesiveness on offense in that second half, and really, stout defense except for the end of the game. And you could say that they made a step forward against Auburn. And I know Auburn kind of stinks, but an 18-point win is solid. And you gave up 1 touchdown. It was due to a fantastic run by their veteran, really tough physical running back. It happens. They held them to field goals, but Georgia found the end zone 3 more times than Auburn did. That's why they won the game. But Listen, if you want to piss off Kirby Smart, show him poor tackling by his team, everyone else. No one can tackle, no one can hit. That's what Kirby Smart is saying. And after a solid win where he was happy, I did notice that, when he started talking about the bad tackling across college football and at the next level, it definitely rubs him the wrong way. He's a perfectionist. He is a defensive-minded coach. He wants to be physical. He wants to be tough. And missing tackles is going to get you in the doghouse. And, we'll see if they can clean that up moving forward. I thought they played really well defensively and still tackled pretty well against Auburn. Still something to clean up, though. Thanks for watching. Again, you can read all of these quotes over on Dawg Post for free, so make sure you're doing that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you over on the website.